Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sonic Collective. My name is Alan, and for the month of February, we reviewed The Rumours by Fleetwood Mac. Joining me, I have Scott Gregory, Darren Scott, and Scott Coates, all the way from Thailand.
Howdy.
All right, guys. Yeah, Rumours. So let me just talk for a second about why I chose this album because it plays into a theory I have, and that theory is that musicians are always at their best whenever they're dealing with strife. This is just kind of a personal observation I've made with bands that I liked when, let's say, Trent Reznor was angsty and angry and young. He made his best music, and then when he got married and was happy and a millionaire, his music was kind of shit. and so and I mean that's just one example of many that I could list off. But my point is, I think when musicians are dealing with stuff, they make good music. And in the case of Fleetwood Mac, during the entire production of this album, they were dealing with shit. Everyone was sleeping with everybody else, and there was infidelity with band members, and just just bickering and fighting and stuff. And the only time they ever got along was actually during the process in which they were making the album, whether it was songwriting or rehearsing or recording. And so this whole album, I think, is sort of the product of that. And actually, the band members would agree. So I'm going to pass this along to, let's say, Darren. Darren, what do you think?
Yeah, I love this album actually. It was an early one when I started to get back into vinyl again. I remember as a kid, I remember it more just always being on the radio, I guess, than I don't think I actually owned it when I was younger, but it was just kind of there. But it really interesting. And I didn't actually know about the stories of kind of how they were all completely a mess until I think we watched the Sound City documentary. Actually, Scott Coates is on the line. Bought that for me when Dave Grohl was making it. You could buy it early, and Scott sent me this link. And the guy in this movie, Sound City, and in that movie, they kind of did cover some of the recording. Was it Rumours actually recorded there, or was that a different album?
I can't remember, man. I know they talked about it was the first one where Stevie Nicks was brought in because she heard Lindsey Buckingham playing in a room or something. An early one.
Yeah, right. Anyway, but I remember kind of from there finding out some of the stories, and yeah, you're right. I think it was the bassist John McVie and Christine McVie. They were basically on the brink of divorce. And apparently she was dating like a lighting dude from the road crew.
Nice.
And so they weren't even talking to each other. Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks had just split up. So here they are going through an upcoming divorce. They're like fighting like children. I thought it was crazy to know all these stories, but I agree that I think good music comes from kind of strife and struggle. And, I think probably a year or so ago, I said when Trump came in, I'm like, hey, there's going to be some really good music in the upcoming years because, I'm sure people will just be like rebelling and wanting to write about, how bad of shape the world is going to be in with that idiot in power. Anyway, back to them. It was full of drugs and booze, probably taking somebody's, but apparently they even thought about crediting the dealer on the album, but then thought that would be a bad idea. And then apparently he got shot. He got murdered because he was a big coke dealer, but they were like coked out of their skulls. Nicks would hide in, I guess, a studio that was being used by Sly and the Family Stone. And she would go in there when he wasn't there and hide. The one story I liked was that apparently, they're battling, but "Go Your Own Way" and "Dreams," written by Nicks and Buckingham, were literally like dueling songs. Like, of course, as the guy, he's like, "Go your own way, you suck, get out of here." And then hers is like "Dreams." It's like it even starts as like kind of like whiny and super emotional, and it's like thunder only happens when it's raining. It's just like really sad, but it's funny just the female and male perspective of that. But I mean, they're two like amazing and super popular songs. But they literally just did it to hurt each other. One other stat I kind of got before I'll pass it on was I found that Stevie Nicks, apparently when she wrote her songs, they were all like 14 minutes. Anybody else come around that? Like all her songs like that she brought into the album. I can't remember exactly which one she wrote, obviously Dreams. And a few others, like they'd all be like 14, 13, 12 minutes long. And they would just really struggle to cut them down with her because she would never want to cut out anything. So it's just how she wrote her songs and would basically fight tooth and nail until they got it down to like a manageable level that could actually be on an album. Yeah, but in general, like again, a big fan of Fleetwood Mac, so I'm going to rank them pretty high, and I did like this album a lot. Scott Gregory.
Yeah, I really like this album too. My first take on Fleetwood Mac was Little Lies in '87. That was kind of, I think I was 12 at the time, and when I went to go look them up, this was the album that you could find, and so this was my first full introduction into it. It's weird for me because people always look at Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. I feel like McVie doesn't really get a lot, and maybe it's because I'm contemporary. Like this is 11 albums in, but I really think that Christine is like the best singer in this group. I really like her composition. Like Songbird for me is my second favorite. Bless you. My second favorite song of all time by Fleetwood Mac.
Sorry, what song?
Songbird. It's the one that she does with the piano halfway through. It's amazing. It's just I'm spellbound every time I listen to that song. What surprised me was Secondhand News off the top. When I popped that back in, I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. But it's in the same category as Sun or Rise by Alice Cooper from that previous album we reviewed. The longer I listened to it, the more you just couldn't stop humming it, and the foot was tapping and stuff like that. And by the end of the month, I actually really like Secondhand News now, right? Like maybe I'm like inoculated against it now or something, but I would actually put that on a playlist and just let it ride too. It grew on me. It grew on me a lot. So I definitely, what Alan said, right? When you've got that strife, the personal strife, there's also a lot of times tension between songwriters and singers and groups where you have like the lead guitarist, he's like, hey dude, I wrote a song, and then the lead singer doesn't want to sing it, right? This group is particularly interesting to me because Fleetwood Mac, they write for each other, but they also write for themselves, and no one is dependent on someone else to get their song out there, right? Like if McVie wrote something for Nicks and she didn't want to sing it, she'd be like, okay, well, screw you, then I'll sing it myself, kind of thing, right? So I like that that parody, that date, maybe you can call it a détente, that you knew that they could do.
I don't think I've ever called anything a détente.
A détente? All my education was in French until high school, so I've called a lot of things a détente, I'm sure. But yeah, I really like this album. I think the most complex song on it is The Chain, which is a masterpiece in itself musically.
Yeah,
it's layered, it's intense. In my notes, I wrote, if I smoked, I'd smoke after this song. So that's kind of my review of The Chain.
After? You got smoke before.
I would be a chain smoker, I guess. I'm here all night.
That's a dad joke.
I will end on. I am a dad now, so I can do that.
Yeah, you're a good dad. You got to practice.
My only controversial point I will make on this is that Gold Dust Woman, holded it better. Don't at me. Scott, off to you.
I have no idea what that last bit meant, but wow, okay.
Gold Dust Woman. Did you listen to Gold Dust Woman?
I did.
Final track.
You've never heard the whole version?
I don't know. I've heard the version on the album. Maybe I just I don't pay super attention to lyrics. It's like I have tough time.
Oh man, I'm totally going to send you a link if I can find it to Hole's version of Gold Dust Woman. I am being honest when I say they just absolutely rock the shit out of that song.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was familiar with Fleetwood Mac. I'm sure I've listened to this whole album over the years, but I don't really remember. And it's one of those albums, as you listen to it, you realize like half the album was singles almost, right? Like you recognize so many songs, and it was great for you to provide the background along and kind of all the stuff going on behind the scenes. I guess I knew of it, but I hadn't really thought about how many probably great albums come from times when people are upset or things aren't good in a band. And it's maybe the same with artists. I've heard it's the same with a lot of writers, that like writers or comics do their best work when they're like depressed or in a bad mental state, which is kind of weird to think, like, when you can hear something that's so beautiful that it could come from a group of people that are hating each other and really not wanting to come to the studio every day and play. But I mean, I think this one, it's pretty easy to maybe say is a masterpiece. I mean, you listen to the whole album, and I've said this on other episodes of this, is that I miss the days of a flowing album, right? And this thing to me really flows. To listen to one song like Don't Stop is great. Sure, we all know that. But to listen to the songs all together in the order that they flow, it has a journey aspect to it, right? You really feel like they're put together in a certain order for a reason. And like, even Secondhand News, like I knew that song, but like, man, if I start this album and you put that on, you can't help kind of like tapping your toes and shuffling a little bit, kind of getting into it, right? And then it just, it's a real cycle. So I mean, there's those standout tracks to me, but I mean, it really is a masterpiece. I think musically, lyrically, I'm always intrigued by bands that have more than one lead singer too. That's such a unique thing to have a band that can carry a few different lead singers. So yeah, I'll just give it top marks. I know we haven't gotten to the marks thing yet, but I'll give it just top marks on all things. I mean, influenced my taste. Yeah, I even suppose I'm going to probably go back and listen to a few other Fleetwood Mac albums that I know the singles, but I've not listened to the whole thing. But just what a weird dynamic band, one where the drummer is kind of one of the leaders. And I actually think one of the things about Fleetwood Mac that might have caused them problems is it seems like there's too many leaders. Like you've got like four people in the band, arguably, who all could be their own band leader of a band, right? And that must be really tough when you're trying to decide who's the boss at a certain point. But
and if nobody took charge, they would just eat at each other. I'm sure.
Or if too many people it's like too many cooks in the kitchen. So it's kind of, I mean, you think of just any of them could be their own band leader. So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed listening to the whole album again. Like, love the singles, but the whole album together is really fantastic, and it's such a great 70s album. So I think anyone interested in like 70s rock, it doesn't sound rock or hard nowadays. And you even think of like imagining Fleetwood or some of these people being heavy drug addicts. I'm always like, I associate that with really heavy metal, but then it's like kind of, it's just a couple steps away from like David Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young kind of music, right? Like it's just sort of that similar time period and feel. So yeah, great pick, great album. I think anyone interested in music, you got to listen to this album. It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Alain.
Yeah, totally. I 100% agree. I had really only ever heard the singles on this album, and listening to the entire thing kind of front to back, without hitting randomize, I really grew to appreciate it as sort of this full composition. And so it really did not only live up to my expectations, but far and away exceeded them. I didn't really know what to expect, because even the singles have a different vibe. Like every song almost sounds differently. Like one track might be sort of bluegrass, and another track's really rock and roll. Another track might be funky, and then they hit you right in the feels with Songbird.
Yep,
that's what that song's called, right? Songbird. Yeah. And Scott Gregory, I have to agree. I think The Chain is just a really, really awesome track. I mean, if you only listen to one track off this album, make it The Chain. I love that bass line. I don't know. Anyway, I would strongly recommend this album to anybody, and I think I'm going to score it high points. Let's get into the points, though. Scott Coates, quantify for us.
Yeah, sorry, just before I do that, I've just called up on Wikipedia, great Wikipedia page on this. And by the way, thanks for exploring the history. I think that's one of the really cool things about this group is when we kind of dig into the background, because the album means so much more when you know the background. But if you look at the writers, like literally like Buckingham, Nix, Buckingham, McVie, like they all have writing credits, right? So you were saying every song's different. Like, I guess it's not a surprise, right? You got all these people, masters bringing songs. So, influence my taste. I got to give it a 4 now, I think, because yeah, I'm interested more in listening to more Fleetwood Mac and even more. Like, I think I'm now going to listen to a bit of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, which I've heard the singles, but I'm kind of interested in that softer 70s. Would I recommend it? Absolute 4. Like, yeah, I totally recommend this to anyone. I can't even remember what the other categories are now, but yeah, I'll give this. Overall, I'll give it full marks 4 all the way across. Everything about it's great.
Well, full marks is 5, though.
Full marks is 5 then. I'm going to go up from 4, and I'm going to go 5 then, on every category. So I just think it's influential, totally worth recommending. Just overall enjoyed it. Fantastic album. Darren.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I also really liked it. I'm not going to quite go just natural 5s, although I love it. I think just for me, it's more of a personal thing, but I am really close. For influence, like I said, they didn't quite grab me when I was at that age, but I'll give that a 4 for me. Recommend, I'm a 4.5. I probably should just do a 5 there, to be honest, and a 4.5 overall. Like it's pretty darn near close to perfection. I think the only reason I'm dinging it's just a little, softer for me, and it just didn't grab me when I was younger. But that's the only difference. It's an amazing.
Yeah, I'd go a 4 as far as influence. Probably quality as well too. I love the songs individually, but rating it as an album, there's something about Fleetwood Mac that, as much as I love the diversity in it, it also just feels disjointed on some levels as an album. One of its strengths is also its weakness based on how we categorize things here. It is a little all over the place, but that is also one of its strengths. So make of that what you will as far as my scoring goes. It's a great collection of songs, but it's a little disjointed as an album. But with that in mind, it's definitely a 5. I mean, it's
recommend?
Almost a dozen songs into their career, and I think this is the apex of it. Yeah, right. Like,
I'm changing
if you're
mine
to listen to one Fleetwood Mac album, this is the one. I tend to not like the songs by Buckingham. Sorry, but my 2 favorite songs by him are on this album. My second favorite McVie song is on here, and none of those. Well, I guess one of those is a single. So you just have to listen to this, whether you're interested in the 70s or you're interested in Fleetwood Mac. It ranks almost at the top in both categories. So you have to listen to it. Great collection of songs.
Alan?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Especially with that analysis that it's sort of a disjointed album. And from my perspective, I think that is sort of a strength, because if you are into one song but not so much another, it still kind of prompts you to explore what else they have to offer. Because, like a few of us have touched on, the songs kind of sound different from track to track, and that is a strength. So I would give this a solid 5 from a recommendation. I would give it 5s all around. Actually, it kind of blew me away how much I enjoyed and appreciated this album, and it sort of it's cool because it kind of cements my theory a little bit about the whole strife in artistry thing. So I'm a happy camper with this album for sure, and a number of these tracks are going into my permanent playlist, which for me is always a sign of quality. Review
ABBA
here at
had
the
a lot of
Collective.
strife too. I'm just saying.
Oh,
I'm gonna fight you.
Don't get me started.
There you go.
That's why I had to go crazy on next. But we usually record this before our pick, but we are a few days late this month, so I've already picked mine, which is Kendrick Lamar.
I'm a
so
big
I'll see how the guys like that one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. My apologies for
cool
being late.
All right, Alan, take us out.
All right. Well, yeah, you heard it here. Darren's pick is next, and it's actually already live on the website. So go to thesoniccollective.com to catch that. As he mentioned, it's Kendrick Lamar, and I'm going to hypothesize that this one could be a divisive album review, but we'll find out next month. So until then, soniccollective.com. You can catch us on Twitter and SoundCloud and all of that fun stuff, Facebook. And until then, we bid you adieu. Thank you so much for listening. You can go your own way.